Welcome, dear friends and tireless keepers of the tales that make this industry throb with life. You're tuned into Turkish Spotlight Secrets, your window where whispers turn into stories and stories cling to the heart. Tonight we step into a night of dazzling bulbs, gowns that flow like water, polished tuxedos, and smiles that gleam under pressure. Yet the brightest thing in the room was not a jewel or a flash, it was a question. The evening set out to honor cinema, but one appearance shifted the mood into an emotional audit. When the cameras fixed their aim on Gökberk Yildirim, the celebration drew breath and held it. Before we unfold the tapestry of glances, pauses, and strategic silences, we ask for your support. Subscribe, drop a like if sincerity told gently matters to you, and consider clicking the join button so we can keep bringing you the stories that others only tiptoe around. Everything was positioned for a victory lap. The carpet burned red under the lights, the photographers hovered with tense fingers over their shutters, waiting for the exact heartbeat to freeze in time. Gökberk arrived as if sculpted by the occasion, crisp suit, easy posture, a smile that could read as welcome or as enigma depending on where you stood. The first flash popped, then another, until the carpet looked like a star field collapsing into a single point. And then the murmur began. It moved through the crowd like a change in weather. Where is Cemre Arda? Her absence thickened the atmosphere. She is the steadying line that frames his presence, the calm note that completes his chord. Without her, the space beside him felt like an unlit stage. In this world, where a 2-second glance can become a week-long headline, the empty room left behind by a partner is instantly filled with guesses. In whispers on the carpet and in a wave online, people asked, why wasn't Cemre there? Did they argue? Is there frost between them? To grasp the weight of those questions, you have to understand the couple's code. Gökberk Yildirim and Cemre Arda have never been a billboard romance. They have crafted a rare arrangement for two people who live under constant surveillance. Guard your center, keep what's yours. No grand gestures paraded under the lenses, no loud declarations, no forced hand-in-hand pageants. Their language has always been nuance. Half-smiles, unspoken understandings, shared looks that belong only to them. That's why this absence wasn't just an empty seat, it was a ringing bell. When people who speak quietly suddenly say nothing at all, the silence becomes thunder. On the carpet, Gökberk moved like a man who has learned the choreography. He joked with his peers, waved to the fans, and talked about the film with the kind of sincere focus that reminded everyone why they came. But he had marked a border around himself that no one could cross. When the questions shifted, one, then another, from the plot to the personal, he sidestepped with grace. No snapping, no irritation, just that skilled politeness of someone who understands the cost of every word. It was a silence that said more than a confession, a restraint that fed the very speculation it refused to acknowledge. How do you read that, dear viewers of Turkish Spotlight Secrets? Is that professional discipline at its finest or a sign that something fragile needs shelter? Tell us what your instincts say in the comments. And if you value respectful storytelling amid the noise, don't forget to click join. Your support keeps us on the trail. Away from the flashpoints, a different version of events circulated, born not from longing or fear but from calendars and call sheets. Voices inside the industry, people who know the punishing rhythm of Turkish sets, offered a pragmatic account: work. According to insiders, Cemre was pinned down by a merciless schedule. Night shoots bleeding into dawn, rehearsals layered between takes, calendars that don't recognize big nights or personal anniversaries. The logic is simple: with no gift for being in two places at once, she couldn't divide herself between a set and a premiere. Those close to the pair insisted, firmly, that nothing in their foundation had shifted, that the storm outside was simply faster than the reality inside. But feelings rarely bow to logic, especially in the realm of rumor and romance. Silence is an inviting surface, people project what they fear and what they hope. Some fans, calmer, more attuned to the grind, accepted the work explanation, pointing to Cemre's momentum and her rigor about commitments. Others could not shake the unease. They noticed the calendar gaps where the two hadn't been seen side by side, the social media timelines that seem to be running in parallel streams that no longer cross. They emphasized the optics. On a crucial night for him, he was alone. On her profile, the world was bright with set life but empty of the red carpet. And amid this turbulence, came the most deliberate reaction from the two who matter most: nothing. No official rebuttal, no stinging clapback, no saccharine pledge. For those who've watched them for years, that stillness is not necessarily a distress signal. It is often their way of staying above the orchestra of speculation, of refusing to throw their private story to the wolves of gossip. Even so, the industry has its own rumor mill. One whisper promises a planned joint sighting ahead, a calculated, single moment meant to turn the page and tidy the narrative. The promise of clarity has, ironically, become its own cliffhanger. One thing was unmistakable: the posture Gökberk adopted after the screening. Away from microphones, within the softer perimeter of colleagues, he seemed looser, even relieved. He dissected scenes, weighed directing choices, shared war stories from set life. When someone nudged the chat toward the personal, he rerouted them with surgical calm back to craft. Was this intentional, a crisis management playbook in motion? Some hardened observers think so. Others, who prefer romance to cynicism, see something else. A vow between two people who protect their common ground with quiet rules. And Cemre? Her digital quiet was as striking as her physical absence. No public congratulations, no reposted photos of his moment. Her recent posts came from a different world: grainy videos from night shoots, laughter with a clip-on mic still attached, a face that can turn from character to composure in a blink. Admirers say this shows a professional who refuses to stumble on the job. Skeptics say it reads as careful avoidance. Another theory gathered steam: perhaps they've decided to shrink the corridor where the public can follow them. Maybe constant commentary wore down the margins of their joy, and the only answer was to tighten the circle. Yet others cling to the symbolism of an empty space at a defining event. There is an unwritten etiquette among famous couples, critics argue: on premiere night, you stand for each other. To be absent is to send a line in invisible ink. Does it speak of distance, disappointment, a boundary newly drawn? In the absence of facts, imagination takes the wheel. That is the reality of this arena: speculation blooms in any patch of light left unattended. For now, that's where we are: questions hanging, answers withheld, curiosity roaring. If there's one consensus, it's that the next image will be consequential. A single frame. Gökberk and Cemre slipping out of a restaurant, or entering a car after an after-party, could smother the fire in a heartbeat. Until then, what isn't said becomes the headline. Inside the venue, it wasn't only fans who noticed. Producers, casting directors, and power players scanned the room with the same thought. Did she cancel last minute? The curiosity was professional as much as personal. Later, a few attempted to pry a hint from Gökberk. He offered that practiced, impenetrable smile, the kind that answers nothing and says everything. Meanwhile, on Cemre's feed, images revealed a crew bundled against the night air, spotlights painting a street into a stage, a clapperboard snapping time. If those were her hours, she simply could not have been at the premiere. The conclusion seems clear, but to those who hunt for subtext, the timing still stings: his big night lived without her beside him. Remember, this is not their first dance with rumor. Time and again, they have sidestepped melodrama, preferring a steady rhythm to grand proclamations. If there is a rift, it has always been managed with a restraint that leaves little debris. That's why their current stillness shouldn't be rushed into the wrong meaning. For some, their inaction is not distance. It is policy. Two adults who know the rules and decline to play every round. Still, they are public figures, and the public breathes with them, demanding oxygen in the shape of answers. In the days ahead, an awards night, a benefit, or a chance encounter could swipe the board clean and replace the story with a new sentence. If that moment doesn't come, the quiet will keep being decoded and recoded by anyone who reads a message in a pause. We will be here to follow the next beat, tracing the edges where privacy meets spectacle, where work meets love, where truth hides in plain sight. You've reached the end of this deep dive here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. The night of Gökberk and the absence of Cemre reveals how thin the seam is between intimate reality and public expectation, and how loud restraint can sound when everyone is listening for a confession. We will keep watching, patiently, for the sign that settles this story. Whether it's a casual walk to a car door or a joint appearance that leaves no room for doubt. Tell us what you believe. Does the work narrative satisfy you, or do you sense a more complicated layer under the surface? Share your thoughts below, your voice shapes what we look for next. If you felt the care we put into handling this delicate chapter, please like and share. And if you want to be part of our inner circle and ensure that these stories are told with clarity and heart, click the join button. Your support is our light as we keep turning the spotlight toward the truth others overlook. Until the next video, stay close, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the most powerful sentence between two people is the one they choose not to say.